We will not copyright or trademark that. We do not have the rights to this at all. Please do not sue us. Thank you.
Welcome to These Unprecedented Gays, featuring Joe Granelli and Paul Smith. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and review wherever you stream your podcasts. Check us out on Instagram at tugayspod and email us at tugayspod@yahoo.com. We hope you enjoy.
Yeah, so that 5 hours. It's about as long as they've been on. So, like, this idea of, like, being on a plane for, like, 10 hours?
No, it's only 4. It's only 8.
Well, and I mean, part of that is you're going to be asleep, and they feed you and everything, so it's like...
Have you seen those things where they, like, you wrap your head around... And for the top of the seat, and so you like fall asleep like this.
So you don't like.
I kind of want to get one.
That sounds like I would actually
just
be
like,
okay with that.
You should get.
I'm just gonna stay up because I can't sleep on planes.
You should get one of those cocoons like Moira has in Schitt's Creek, where it's like she puts it on her head when she goes to sleep at night, and I'm like, that'd be cool.
I just like I just like there's just so much noise. Like even I had earplugs when I was in Europe, like on my flight to Europe, but even still, it was just so loud because like you have the engine and then you have like the cabin, and then people are walking around, and then like the dinging and like the seatbelt thing.
You know, I always flew business class for those long hours.
I know,
God.
and that's what I know.
Once
I did that, I can never go back. I just need to find $12,000.
It's gotten so crazy expensive to do business class.
Oh yeah, because I was looking, and like again, they get you. Because it's like you think that when you do like the flight 2, it gives you a price, and you're like, oh, $4,000. Like I could like save up and stomach that, but that's just one way,
right?
And then you basically double it. You're like, oh yeah, maybe not. Because the long haul flights, like if you're able to lay down, it's a game changer.
Yeah. So. Well, I'm Paul.
And I'm Joe.
And we're These Unprecedented Gays.
Yes.
So how was your week, Joe?
Well, we were actually just talking about this, but we saw John Waters this past week, and I didn't know who that was.
Oh, really? Okay.
Like the name. But so I knew if you showed me a picture of him, I would know him, right?
Right.
And I didn't know what it was going to be. It was like his Christmas variety special show or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And it was just him like doing, I would say like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Was he like talking about like the movies he made and people he met?
The crowd was definitely there to hear him talk about being a director and writer. But
it was an interesting set of jokes.
It was like almost like a Jerry Seinfeld set of like, and what's the deal with the internet?
Oh,
and then he would like...
ramble.
He would ramble about different things. So he talked about like pronouns. And he talked about like
Supreme Court, abortion, politics.
He would hit a topic, and then
so all the light stuff.
All the light stuff.
Well, I think his overarching thing was like, hey, the holidays are around us, and like here's like a crash guide and like what's going on, sort of thing.
But that doesn't sound like a holiday show to me.
There was no like honestly, there wasn't. There was. He said Santa like 3 times. So mean, that's what made it holiday.
I would have like probably if it had been a night with John Waters and he was like going to be talking about his time making his different like Pink Flamingos.
I would have loved that.
And all of that, and talking about his friendship and Divine and stuff, and all of that. I think would be really cool.
He knows everybody,
right? Yeah,
he really knows everybody. And there was a Q&A after because we were gonna like right at the end when the lights came up. I was like, let's get out of here because this was just But then there was no way to leave, so we stayed for the Q&A. And the Q&A, he had some like fun little like one-liners, and just was able and that's when people asked about films and what about working with this person and what was your experience with that, and that's what I was expecting the whole 90 minutes to be.
Oh gosh,
I would have enjoyed it more.
And that was the best part of the show.
Because he was more fun. It was almost a little more real, if that makes sense, because it seemed obviously his like monologue stand-up was rehearsed, but it was just like timing wasn't the best, and it just was a little off.
Well, he's
and
also
like,
not a comedy writer.
No, and some of the jokes
he's not
weren't
a comedian,
good.
Like, and he doesn't write jokes per se. He writes funny stuff.
Yeah,
but he's just not a joke writer.
Yeah, it was one of the things where I was like, Do I need to see this? No.
And some of his jokes were like, I'm not a deep cut John Waters fan. I couldn't tell you all of the different things about but some of the jokes were about like, those like 50s or 60s actresses and actors, and he'd reference somebody from a really obscure film.
Yeah,
and he'd get like 7 people laughing because they knew they got it, but the rest of us were like, I don't know who you're talking about.
It's the equivalent of on this podcast when Paul talks about a song and I have no idea. So like imagine that at a larger scale,
right?
But with like John Waters. So I mean, it was.
You wonder though, like when he's doing that and he gets that reaction, like you're kind of bombing.
But I don't know if it even like. I think he's just like. Okay, gotta go to the next, like, on to the next. Like, it probably doesn't even, like, register. And if I were him and I was bombing, I'd be like, it's fine, I'm worth $50 million. Yeah. Like, because I was wondering that when we were walking.
Money.
And I was like, how much is this man worth? And I was like, okay, he's done well for himself.
So, a little bit off topic, but I'm listening to this podcast about J.D. Salinger. And
from Catcher in the Rye?
When he wrote Catcher in the Rye, it quickly became this huge, like, it's one of the top 10 selling novels of all time.
That's my favorite book, yeah.
So in 1963 or something, after it got released, he could live on royalties.
Wow.
Beyond that, he never had to work another day in his life.
Just from one book.
Royalties from that one book.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That's amazing.
I mean, it is now, I mean, when I was in high school, it was a required reading, so I'm imagining that's probably why. Damn.
Do you know what the number one selling novel in the world is?
The Bible.
Yeah.
It's just not
I was going to say the Bible.
Wait.
It's debatable whether that's a novel.
In the world, is it an English book, like written in English? Or I guess you can translate books.
Almost every book could be translated.
Is it Harry Potter?
No, but we'll talk about Harry Potter in a second.
Okay.
Is it Uncle Tom's Cabin?
No, it's Don Quixote.
Oh, Don Quixote, yeah.
Really?
Next to
Don
Catcher in the Rye.
Quixote de la Mancha. And number 2 was A Tale of Two Cities.
Huh.
That's amazing, yeah.
And Lord of the Rings.
Wow.
So the Harry Potter books are like 11 through 16 are the Harry Potter books.
Okay.
Can you imagine like a writer who is only, or still living,
right,
represents 6 or 7 of the largest selling books.
Wow. And she's still 10, a bitch.
And she's a turf. So there you go.
What's a turf?
It's a kind of what they call somebody who
real
doesn't believe
feminist. It's TERF, yeah.
Yeah. It's a term that they use in the UK for people who
hostile towards people.
Yeah, she's like anti-trans and all that other stuff. Not the best. So we saw John Waters, and then hold on, I need to get my. Here we go. And then we went to Taste of Himalayas for Indian food, good. Oh my god, it was so good. Like the service was pretty slow, but I was like, it's fine. We don't need to. We're not in a rush, and like. It's always funny going to places with Nick that have spicy food because the waitresses or the waiters come up and go like, oh, what are your spice levels? And he's like, can I get a 0? And it's like, we can't do 0. It's like a 1. So I got lamb tikka masala because I love lamb. And you got, what is it? Biryani. And I wanted to get the it's like those fried little donut balls in sugar. I don't know what it's called, but it's like the Indian dish where it's like, I don't know what they're called, but they're like basically like little warm dough balls that are like doused in sugar syrup. So good. So we had that, which was really tasty. And then that's kind of it. I think today, I don't know if you saw, but they did the reveal for season 16 of RuPaul's Drag Race. And I watched a little bit.
I was very excited because they have a lot more representation, whether like through Latinas.
Yeah.
The first Asian, the first one from Taiwan is going to be on there.
Banana,
which I was like, I saw her entrance.
Win something.
Nymphia win.
Yeah.
I did like one. I was like, there's one. Her name is Amanda
Tory meeting. That was I have that, and I was like, "You're great," because it's Amanda space Tori, and then meeting is spelled meating. And she was like, "Yeah, I wanted it to be a mandatory meeting because I've been in so many of those and I hate them." And I'm like, but she looks good.
The only problem with Nymphia Wind or whatever her name is, I'm sorry.
It's just today. We're good.
Yeah, it's just today.
We haven't met the queens yet.
Her wig. If you're watching Canada's Drag Race, Denim just did that on Canada's Drag Race with that whole wig with the multiple sunglasses. Yeah. And I was just like, okay, that's sad.
Well, but like, how would she have known?
I know.
How are you going to know? How are they going to know?
And then I was like, they put a banana on the ground and she pretended to slip and fall. Because I guess that's like her thing, where she's from or something.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
I was like, I like Plain Jane because she's a hot man.
You know what's crazy?
Trade of the season.
In global drag race, drag queens still use English names for their clever names.
Yeah.
Like there's no lost in translation.
Yeah, because it's universal.
That English is the governing language of drag.
Gotta love America. Or well, did English come from England? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
we don't speak English.
I mean, you know. So yeah, that's about it. What about you?
It's been a crazy week just work-wise because...
Spill it.
It's just because it's like getting close to Christmas, so we're doing all that, and I have the Christmas party for work coming up and stuff, so it's a little crazy. And
What's your Christmas party going to be?
We're doing a movie night. Like we do every year.
This is a party for all of the referring dentists.
Not all of them, our top 10.
Yeah, but it's a big, 200 plus attendees.
Oh, wow.
So Paul is, there's a lot of pressure for him to have an event
and there's
that's
a lot
memorable and fun.
Because everybody loves going. They talk about it all year, and every year I try to do a little something different. So this year we're doing a red carpet. We have a set repeat, everything. So awesome. It's going to be fun in that aspect. It's just always stressful because I have... I have to make sure the prizes are there. Make sure everybody has a job.
You basically organize everything.
I organize everything.
So you're party planning, you're party executing, and you're making sure that everyone is fun.
And I'm a party participator.
Yes. Do you guys have an office party too for your?
We have a lunch party. We go to lunch, and everybody can have one drink. And we're going to this place called the Islander.
Wait, is this the one where you guys went to? The one at Harbor Bay or whatever?
Yeah, we went to Valley High last year.
And you were like, no Mai Tais for you.
Yeah, nobody gets Mai Tais. It's all alcohol. It's like diesel. But this year, we're going to this one called the Islander in Coronado, and it's like this Hawaiian tiki restaurant. Oh. And I was like, don't forget, you can only have one drink at lunch. And everybody's like, does that mean I can get this giant lava...
Like a fishbowl?
Oh
my God.
And I'm like, no.
The Islander now has next to it this little mini donut.
Like donut shop. Mini donuts.
We just were there.
They were cute.
Yeah.
I was like, they're okay. They're not great.
Is it more just for Instagram?
Yes. Ugh. Yeah. I mean, their flavors are kind of different and stuff, but because we got some and they were cute, but I was like, I don't know. It just wasn't But they're like one of the only places in San Diego that that serve spam musubi, and I'm so
at
excited.
The Islander.
Yeah,
I love.
They charge $5 for it, but still.
What's the musubi part?
We've talked about this.
It's like a rice patty.
It's like spam sushi. So like they build it up with a lot of rice. You got your soy sauce and teriyaki and all that kind of stuff. Where the spam is cooked in, and then they wrap it in a little bit of seaweed.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but it's like palm size.
It's just it's petite. It's just a little snack, so you can have 10.
That sounds great for you.
You can get them, in Hawaii, you can get them at 7-Eleven.
Yeah, you just go a convenience store on the side of the road, gas station, and they're really good.
Yeah. I mean, spam, that's the only time I will eat spam is when it's fried on a spam musubi. It's just like the perfect combination because you get the salty spam and then you have rice. Yeah. So then you're like, oh, it's a meal. And it's healthy because of the seaweed.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's spiced, so there you go.
Yeah, it's great.
Every time you say spam, my head goes to unwanted email instead of the fried meat.
Okay. Spam, junk. Yeah.
Spam was
same thing. All right, so it's time for mouth to mouth. Mouth to mouth resuscitation. What are you living for? What's giving you life? Okay, before you start, let me just talk to you.
Tell me what you're living for, bitch. I'm gonna cut you off.
I want to know, but I'm gonna get back to you. I'm gonna let you speak.
I'm gonna let you finish. I'm gonna let you finish, but Beyonce had the best album of the year.
But like one of the girls at work is like, "What's going on, Paul? What's happening? What's giving you life?" And I'm like, "Bitch."
You're like not that question, Donna, Darcy. Isn't there a girl with a D?
No.
Oh.
So what's giving you life?
It's really lame, but Katie, after we had our Friendsgiving, left over a tube of Pillsbury biscuits, and like I haven't had them in a really long time, and so Nick made them, and I think he ate like one, and then he put them in a bag, and I basically ate the rest of them throughout the week. But you can air fry them, and they get really crispy.
Ooh.
Oh my god! And they're the ones that have like the flaky layers.
Okay.
Oh my god.
See, I love Pillsbury biscuits, but only because I only want to do the opening of the canister.
So it so much.
And then you whack it.
It's just the pop, because it's like the Jack and like the dun 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 dun.
No, it's not. It's just like you press it with a thing and you're good.
I
It's
love
great.
that. It's like for some reason I don't know why, but like
It's
as soon as it
riveting.
does that, it's like
Yeah.
If we ever need to torture Nick, we know like
Oh,
there's
God.
100 ways.
Like,
there's
Nick,
plenty. We
open
should do an
this.
episode on ways to torture Nick. We would have to do a multi-part series.
Yeah, I could tell you all the ways.
So that's what's giving me life. What's giving you life?
So right now, what's giving me life, is like late 90s, early 2000s dance music.
Okay.
So it's very specific, like Living Joy's Dreamer. I'm a dreamer.
Remember how we talked about how you talk about songs that I don't know? We're
Yeah.
living it right now.
But that's like my thing. I love music like that, and
So like the deep cut?
I guess you could call it that because, like, I like some stuff that people don't know. So, like, Dr. Alban sing Hallelujah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really deep cuts. So that's my thing. Like, of course, I'm almost done. We have, like, 2 episodes left of Fisk, which is the Australian show. And I'm, like, so upset because I'm, like, I've been watching one every night. And I'm, like,
And then it's done.
I'm almost done. But it's cool because I'm like, now that we're planning on going to Melbourne, I'm like, should we look for this town where she works at?
Yes.
In Melbourne? Like,
It's Melbourne.
It's Melbourne.
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 Did you make a playlist for your 90s deep cuts?
I haven't made one yet,
Are you
but I
going
think I
to?
will.
Okay.
Yes, of course.
So we'll have to plug it next time.
Yes, exactly.
What are you going to call it? Like Paul's deep cuts of the 90s and 80s, late 90s?
I haven't thought of a clever name yet. I will, though.
You got time.
I do.
You got time.
Maybe I'll make that as a Christmas gift for myself.
Yeah. But why wait?
Treat yourself.
Give it to yourself today.
But speaking of Christmas goals, because we're done with that mouth to mouth, like, because have you listened to Cher's Christmas album?
No.
Why not?
I remember hearing that it came out and then like I didn't do anything about it.
Okay, so like,
Is it good?
It's okay, but it kind of like plays into what we're going to talk about tonight, which is ageism. But like, people are, Andy listened to it and he thought it was kind of like too overly produced.
But isn't that her now?
But that is her now. Yeah, that's her thing. But like, also people are like, oh, you're just trying to give yourself some street cred because she has a song on there with Tyga.
Okay.
And I'm like,
I thought it was Tyga.
Is it Tyga?
I don't know, but
is it Tyga?
Isn't Tyga the one that was with the Kardashian and had a baby with the
I think,
young one?
Isn't she still with him?
I don't know. I like Tyga better instead of Tyga.
I do. I like. It's probably Tyga.
But Tyga sounds fun because it's kind of like the like hood version of Tigger from Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, exactly. He's all hood. But you should listen to it. I think there's some stuff on there that's actually really good.
Is it wait, I'm trying to see. Is it mostly covers?
Well, yeah, all Christmas music is covers. She has a couple of things that's new that she's done. So, but like, and the little trivia for you. She actually was on the original version of Christmas Baby Please Come Home with Darlene Love when the
Really?
Ronettes did it. Yes, and she was a backup singer on that. And now
I love that song.
Darlene
but that
Love
version.
did backup singing on her version for her album.
Full Circle.
Full Circle.
Is Darlene still alive?
Yeah, well, I hope so because or else they did like that Tupac Shakur in concert thing
From the grave.
from the grave. Posthumous.
Yeah.
It's Tyga.
Why did you just call me fat?
No, I don't want you to move because you're stepping with the microphone.
No, he didn't think you could do it because he thinks you're old.
Ew. That's not true either.
We're going to debunk that in today's
Tyga.
episode.
So she was 17 when she did that song with Darlene Love back when the Ronettes did it.
Okay.
And now she's 77. And did you know that she's the same age as Dolly Parton?
Really?
Yes, I did not know they were both 77. But
They both look good. I mean, they're plastic surgeons.
they both look good.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But like people were also getting on because Dolly Parton has a new album out as well
I am out of the
called
loop.
Rockstar.
Okay.
So, but people were upset because she performed at a Dallas Cowboys game and she came out and performed her song in a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader's outfit. And they were like, why is a 77-year-old woman doing this when she should be at home, like, crocheting like Joe does?
Oh, no. That's another thing. My crochet career's ended.
Why?
I finished Nick's scarf, and I will never crochet again.
Is it a scarf or is it just like a pocket square?
No, it's a scarf. It's like 5 feet in length, but like... oh my god, what's the song from the Lady Gaga one in where she sings Shallow? What's that one?
Oh, from Stars Born?
Yeah, there's a song called I Will Never Love Again.
Yeah.
But I Will Never Crochet Again.
It's not a girthy scarf.
Yeah, it's 1 inch by 5 feet. So it's just like it's like toilet
It's a
paper.
string.
It's because he wouldn't like blink while he's doing it. So
Yeah.
it's like causing himself harm.
I know, I think I've lost vision because you're so intently focused. But I will say, like, last night, a new, like, stitch popped up on my, like, suggestions on YouTube, and I was like, maybe I'll try that. So my crochet career for now is ended.
Okay.
But maybe in
You're just
the
taking
new
a
year.
like you're like Ross and Rachel. You're
I'm
on a break.
I don't know, that flight to London is really long.
And that seems, well, I mean, like, they crochet in Britain. Right?
Well,
They love
Tom
crocheting.
Daly is a knitter. You might start knitting.
No, knitting,
You
I
and Tom
can't.
could hang.
No, with 2 needles, that's like a potential to gouge your eye out. I don't want to do that.
So this is so Nick put a picture up of Dolly Parton in a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader.
She looks
outfit.
great.
She looks amazing.
Yeah, she
So
does.
okay, I want to know what the demographic of the people that are
Male,
poo-pooing on
white,
her. And like middle
35
age?
to 50 who shouldn't be speaking about
So
what women
single
do anyway.
and also
Probably not single, but like probably just like nothing better to do than talk about a 77-year-old woman who like has done so much for anyone who like helped fund finding a COVID vaccine,
Right.
Who like still gives to a reading charity. She does everything like her royalties from I Will Always Love You, the Whitney Houston version, goes to help black communities, underserved black communities, like where
Nice.
she's from.
okay.
So, like, I think that's amazing.
Yeah, that's
But
And,
who
like,
gives a fuck if she's in that uniform? Like, why?
Well, she looks amazing in it.
Because their
Even
thing
if
is
she
she's
didn't look
77.
amazing, like, let the woman do what she wants to do. Like,
Well, and that's the thing. It's
Let
like
her
why
live her
can't-
life.
well,
Yeah.
like, who's to say that she's not allowed to do that?
No
Like,
one.
No one is allowed to say that.
No.
She can do whatever she wants. She can dress however she wants. It's just
Yes.
like that was like what I was thinking about. It's like because I heard that and I'm like, why does somebody care how you
Yeah.
dress? It's just like when people say you have to dress for your age.
No.
I don't understand what that means.
I think right now what we're kind of experiencing is like a shift in societal norms because like you had this like precedent. I think that's the word. I'm thinking of like Supreme Court precedent, but like where it's like, hey, the minute you turn 50 and you're a woman, like you need to be old and crotchety. But it's like, no, like Jennifer Lopez was 50 and looks amazing, and let her do her thing.
She was just on somewhere and she was talking about how she's never won a major award, like like a Grammy or
She
an
hasn't
Oscar.
won a Grammy?
I don't think so, but she's never won like an Oscar or anything. but she's still considered an icon.
Because of Ben Affleck?
Just because she's Jennifer Lopez.
Really? She's never won an award?
I don't think so.
Oh, that's actually really sad.
Yeah, JLo's never won anything.
Like, she's won GLAAD movie awards and stuff like that, but like Golden
She's
Globe,
won a place
she's
in
been
our
nominated.
hearts.
Right, exactly.
But also, okay, so like Made in Manhattan wasn't an Emmy winner?
I love that movie, by the way.
Or an Oscar?
Yeah, I love her.
All of her movies are just great. Selena was great.
Monster-in-Law? Wait.
Monster.
That's not Made in Manhattan. She was in Made in Manhattan, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And everybody thought she was going to win an Oscar for
Selena.
Not for Selena, but for Hustlers.
Yeah.
Or at least be nominated for Hustlers, but like...
Oh, yeah, I remember that movie.
It was very good.
Yeah.
So, anyway, but like, I don't get the whole, like, dress for your age, because she's 50. Like, Mariah Carey. She has an amazing body. And, I mean, she's like, what, in her 50s? Late 50s,
But even if
60s?
she didn't, like, that's my thing. Why does it matter if you're a certain age?
Oh, my God. That is crazy. Okay, you need to look up Mariah Carey on Google and see what happens.
That was hilarious.
Please do this. We're not going to tell you it, but look up Mariah Carey right now as you listen to this on Google and watch what happens. That's amazing. But anyway... She is 54, and she, if you were to ask somebody, they would be like, oh, she dresses like she's 25.
So
and
what?
It's like, so?
But also 25-year-olds are dressing like they're 90. So
exactly!
So what does it even matter? Like, they're wearing, like, 25-year-olds are wearing 90s clothing, or Gen Z or whatever. I think Gen Z is wearing, like, 90s. So it's like, well, and then what is age that
so
they're
sad,
doing?
I was like, that's the hard part, is like, stuff that I was wearing when it was first coming out is now like recycled, and I'm like,
well, I mean, you don't want to wear your Jinko jeans?
I do want to wear my Jinko jeans. I want to wear my True Colors shirts. I love those, and my Z Cavaricci pants.
Yeah,
I want all of that.
I think we should get you some of those.
Christmas
wherever they're sold.
But anyway, so like. I find that that's just like, especially against women, it's really hard. But like in the gay community, we face a lot of ageism because it's like the joke that once you turn 30, you're invisible.
Or like you dead. Like, oh, I'm 30 now, I'm dead. And it's like,
right.
Why?
Or it's like when you're 30, there's always that joke of like, you're 30 in a gay club, and it's like, it's 9 o'clock and I want to go home.
I mean, I will say there's some truth to that.
There is truth
but
to
like,
that.
I don't know.
But also, I feel like it's you're wanted until a certain point, and then you're forgotten about until you reach another certain point, and then you're fetishized.
Yes.
You become this thing where it's like, oh, it's like a niche, or like,
ooh, you're a silver fox now,
right? Or like you have a fetish, and this fits it, and it's just like, but also. It's the opposite way, too, because you have a lot of older guys who only want to date
younger
guys or younger women. But, like, it's a lot of, like, in the gay community, it's like you see that on, like, Grindr and Scruff and everything, looking, 55-year-old guy in shape looking for 18 to 24.
Oh.
And it's like...
do they just, like... I wonder... we should find one of those. We should make a Grindr account.
Ask them, like, why?
Oh, my God. We should do... Like
a To Catch a Predator?
Yeah. Like, no. Make like a two gays, or like make a Grindr account, but like while we're all here.
Catfish?
Maybe not that.
Let's not call it that.
But like Grindr live, and like message people to see like what they say, or like see what kind of the headlines are.
Yeah.
We don't have to do it. I'm just thinking out loud.
We're just spitballing here.
I will say, like, I do wonder, like, I mean, I've obviously not been on Grindr for years now, but, like, I would bet that if I looked at someone's Grindr, I would see the same people that I did back when I was single.
Oh, I'm sure there's some people who are still there. And
or the fresh meat just moved here.
Well, or, it's funny, I wonder if it's like how your taste buds change after a certain amount of years. Like, I think it's like 7 years or something like that. Your taste buds change, and that's why certain things that you liked before, you're just like, not down for it right now. But I wonder if that's the same thing, like, with, like, sexual preferences.
I think so. Or, like, what you're attracted to. Because, like, I see, like, young people, and I'm repulsed. Because I see them now, like, okay, not like
that's
that.
so ageist.
But like not repulsed in a way, but it's just like I don't feel that there's anything that I have in common with a 20-year-old. And the fact that I'm 14 years older, stop it. Stop cringe. Whatever.
That's so cringe.
The fact that I'm 14 years older than them, I'm like...
But I mean...
Not attracted to them.
But that's kind of like ageist, though. Like, you don't know if you have anything in common with them or not, unless you talk to them.
Girl.
Like, what if you did? What if they were into crocheting?
I agree with Paul.
I ended my crochet career. We have nothing in common now.
But you might be able to teach them.
I would be remiss to find a youth person that shares the same ideologies and life experiences as I. So if you are a young whippersnapper and you listen, prove me wrong.
Yeah, Joe's gonna go on Grindr and talk to all the young guys to see if he.
No, and then I'll just be like yep.
He's like Steve Buscemi in that meme. He's like, "Hey, young people,"
and I'll just be like, "Yeah, I was right."
But like, I want to talk to like somebody who is of like in their 50s or 60s who only are interested in guys who are in their like early 20s.
Yeah.
And that your cutoff is like 25. Like what
is it?
What is it about that?
Yeah.
Is it just the sex? Is it you want somebody who's young and cute? Like, because obviously you can't have that much in common with them.
Right. And is it a control thing, or do you want like arm candy? Like, do you want to be able to like flash it off, like be able to spoil them? Like,
because like, is it just like with straight guys who like younger women? It's like, you know, you like that, like...
It's like a status symbol.
Right, in a way.
We all have a mutual friend that dated somebody that was the same age as his children. And they dated for years. And it actually seemed to be, like, working. And they both had consensual... But I do sometimes wonder if, like they said, like, the long-term in common, because the young guy has gotten a little older... They've had less in common, so they finally broke up.
Well, and that's the thing too. I feel like when I was 20, I didn't have any idea of what I wanted to do, and you have this worldview that is so small. So, like, I think that you're right. When you grow older, like, things change. So, like, that changes also your dynamic that you would have in a relationship. I would say.
I would think so, because like as you get older and start learning more, you're like, oh. You start to develop your own interest in stuff, which may or may not align with the person that you're with.
Yeah, you become your own person,
right? When you're of that age, you know, older, you're like you have your set things that you like and how you like them and stuff like that. So, you know, somebody may not gel with that, and you know, who's younger, or they may be okay with it at first, and then they're like, you know what, I'm actually not okay with this.
Yeah, and I think nowadays, like, I have no concept of what young people do, so I have no clue. Like, if like the Gen Zs, I don't know what they're doing. Like, and even like
they're
young
trying to
gays.
change the word. Trying to change the word. Trying to change the world.
We gotta change the word. Are they? Oh my god! I saw something, and it was that Gen Z falls more for scams online than boomers.
No.
Yeah, because like tickets online for like Taylor
shows.
Swift and stuff like that.
Because they get so excited.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So they fall victim more to online scams than boomers do.
That's interesting. Well, unless it's like they're not going to fall for the one where it's like, "Hey, this is Grandma. I'm stuck in Canada.
Did you see?
Can you send me some money?"
Did you see the one where it was like the grandma? It's like, "Hey, this is Grandma. I'm in Paris. I need money." And she's like, "No, like my grandma's dead." And she's like, "Oh no, the other one." And then she's like, okay, take a picture. And then it's a white girl by the Eiffel Tower, and she goes, "We're Hispanic." And then the person's a picture back with a Mexican hat, and she's like, "No."
Not to get off topic, Joe, but actually the state of California just passed a law that the younger generation they have to take a internet media literacy class now in high school.
Oh my god, that's great!
It's part of the curriculum now.
Can we put that in like senior centers as well?
Just everybody, everybody should be taking this training.
And Gen Z, and like again, like the generation. I feel bad because the COVID pandemic really screwed everything up. But they are reading at lower grade levels, and they aren't like able to like read and comprehend. And that's the generation that we're sending out to be our future.
Well, but like you also have stuff like AI generated stuff where it's like you can't even tell that it's AI generated. Mm-hmm. So that's gonna, you know, anybody who's older or younger might fall for it. And I'm just like, I don't believe anything I see. I look at everything and I'm like,
there you go. Fake. Are we in a reality? No, you're fake right now. Is this real? No, fake.
Well, here's okay. So like, reverse ageism.
I was just gonna say. Mm-hmm.
So like, I looking at resumes, and I'm like, when I look at you can't really ask age and stuff, but you can see.
You can deduce when you look at the year they graduated.
Right. Well, and you can like how it's worded and like all this stuff.
That's resume math,
right? But it's like that kind of stuff. It's like, well, I don't want to hire them because they don't have enough experience. But then I'm like, but who's to say that they won't?
Right.
Have value added to your company or business. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or it's just like when companies would not hire women, or they wouldn't hire women over a certain age, or just people over a certain age anymore. Like
my mom had experienced that when she was her company. God, this was like 12 years ago. Her company basically was acquired, I think, and her role was redundant, so she was let go, and they gave her severance or whatever. And I think she was maybe early 50s. And she was having, like, a really hard time. I think it almost took her a year to find a job.
Yeah.
And, because she was over 50. And, like, people, like, employers are like, oh, if you're over a certain age, then it's like, oh, you're just going to retire. And it's like, but that's not, like, legal.
Or you're going to be leaving, you're going to retire, or, you're going to be out more.
Right.
Like, for medical reasons or something. Yeah. Or you're not going to be here that long. We want somebody who's going to be here more long term, who's going to also you're of that age that you're not going to work as hard as somebody who's younger. And I don't feel like that's true.
No,
because like if anything, the younger generation is coming up and they're saying they're not going to do that hustle culture anymore.
Yeah, you need the balance, right? They bring a wealth of experience,
and they're like, you know what? I only want to work 4 days a week. And I only work from this time to this time. And I want like, remote work.
I mean, same, but am I going to get that? No.
No.
Because America.
But like, I come from the growing up, I'm of the age that like, you work hard, you do what you're supposed to be doing, and then you'll get rewarded, and work comes, and I feel like I'm still valuable to the workforce. But if I was to leave my job right now, I think it'd be very difficult for me to find a job.
Yeah.
I mean, outside of a Walmart greeter. But that is a job, and
you would do great.
Thank you for being there. I appreciate you greeting me.
Yeah.
That and the people in Costco that check before you leave.
I actually really want that job.
You good?
I want the receipt checker, and I want the card checker going in, because I would be like hardcore. I'd be like,
you are not allowed.
Where's your card? Who are you walking in with?
Well, Nick, when we went last, he like showed an app, and I was like,
oh, it's on the app,
like
now.
A digital thing. I was like,
like BJ's does it a lot. They do more on the app than anything else.
The Brew House.
No, there's a BJ. It's like a Costco.
Oh,
but it's on like the East Coast.
Oh,
yeah. It's kind of like Sam's Club.
Okay, I've never heard of them.
Yeah,
not good.
No, actually, they're really cool. They're actually a mixture between like Costco and a grocery store.
Yeah,
so you can get smaller items, but you can still get the big
bulk
warehouse items too.
Okay.
I was like, when I was going to visit my family in Tennessee, I'd take them to BJ's and like, let's go shopping and just do all of it at once.
I do love, Costco gives me stress because Nick likes to go during rush hour. And there's, again, if we want ways of like torturing Joe, it's go to Costco during peak hours.
I don't even care about peak hours. I want to be in and out before the samples come out, because that's when, and this is probably ageist right now, but that's when the old people show up for some reason. Because they all want the free sample.
I am them. But like, I feel like Costco at like a 10 a.m. is like perfect time.
Oh no, I go to Costco at 9
p.m.
9 a.m. when they open. I'm there at 8:55 because they usually open up early.
Okay. Okay.
So by 9 o'clock, I'm out.
There you go.
I'm done shopping.
You get in, get out, and get on with life.
That's right,
girl. Because you don't want to see the
but that's
older
my age.
Folks. Well, I wanted to know, like, have you, because I was thinking about this after you kind of like talked about the topic, and I was like, have you personally experienced anything ageism related for you?
For me, no.
And maybe like reverse ageism or ageism itself.
I think it's more within the gay community than anything else.
Yeah.
It's like, before I met Andy, it was like, oh, you're too old for me.
Really?
Yeah. It's like, or I was sitting in that spot where it was like too old for some of the young guys, too old for some of the older guys who were looking for young guys, and I was too young
for the older
guys looking for
companions.
A more mature male.
Oh my god, you didn't fit any of the boxes.
I didn't tick any boxes.
But that's why
I didn't tick any boxes. You know what I'm saying? But it was hard because I did sit in that middle area of like in your 30s where it's like you kind of sit in gay limbo.
Yeah.
And it's like being in a new city and everything. It was hard. So it was like, especially in California, where a lot of times wherever you are, it's more about how you look.
Yep.
Than anything else. So I didn't fit that look either. But it was like, I put my age in there, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, no, sorry."
Have you ever lied about your age?
I have.
But like to be older or to be younger?
To be younger.
Oh,
at least a couple of years. I mean, I'm Asian, so
wait. Okay, tell me, what did you do and when? How young did you say you were?
Okay, so when I moved here and then I broke up with my fiance, I think I was 36, 35 or so, and I would say that I was 30.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I love that.
But I feel like you could pull that. Like 5 years younger, you could pull that off.
Back then I could pull it off.
You're like, I'm 12. Still in high school, bitch.
Depending on my haircut.
Wait,
if I did a bowl cut.
I was gonna say if you had the bowl, or you did the middle part down the sides.
Exactly.
But it's not the 90s, so you were not 30 in the 90s.
No. But it's and so I would say that I was 30, and it was even then, that was still just on the cusp of being too old or too young.
Yeah.
So
do you ever fear getting older?
I do, just because I'm Andy is 12 years older than me, so it's like, am I going to die first? Is he going to die first? What if he dies first? And then I'm all alone, and I don't think I'm going to ever find anybody else. I can't start over. I have him trained so well, and I'm trained very well, we're both trained very well for each other. And I'm just no, I'm not going to start over with anybody else. I don't have that kind of patience anymore. And I find that that's something, I also find that I have less patience, and I have to hold on to my empathy harder as I get older.
Yeah.
Because I see that a lot when I talk to old people. A lot of their empathy is gone away. It's
like they're hardened by the world.
Right.
Yeah.
And I try not to be that way, but I do feel like that's kind of some of it where it's at. And do you feel the same way? Or?
Oh, yeah. I feel like the older I get, the more I hate people. And I don't mean that in a mean way, but it's just there's a disconnection, I feel like. There's maybe the way that I was brought up and just not in a misalignment, but I'm just kind of I feel like I have less in common with people who are younger, kind of like what I was saying, but it's hard to relate to different things,
Yeah.
I'm not I'm set in my ways for sure, but I feel to combat that, I try to be open-minded and I try to be understanding, but there's some points where I'm just God, you're an idiot.
See, I don't act my age. I'm 48. I don't act 48 at all.
No.
I act like I'm 12 years old.
Yeah.
Fart jokes still make me laugh.
Yeah, they do.
Anything you see that might be even slightly sexual or looks slightly sexual,
that's you.
I'm going to call it out.
People say duty, you laugh.
Yeah.
Right. I'm duty. It's that's awesome.
Because that's poop.
When anybody says active duty, I'm oh, you gotta go poop. But that kind of, and I do connect somewhat with people of a younger age because I do try to stay on top of pop culture, and things like that. So that's important to me.
Yeah, I feel like it's. I feel like I can identify as a 90-year-old, but also as my age, and then also with young people. It's very strange because it depends. If you were to be
the underwear,
right? If you were to be the future and hope of America, I definitely feel more aligned with like there is hope, and that's what like the younger generations feel. Well, maybe they don't, but like then if it's like, hey, how do you feel about this other thing? It could be like, I feel like a 9-year-old man, you know. But yeah. So I think you do kind of. Would you? Well, you didn't say you're afraid of getting older, but you're.
I mean, I'm afraid of getting older. It's not the physical things that happen when you get older. Like that's just going to happen anyway.
It depends.
But it's like, it's just again, I don't want to start over with somebody else. If Andy was to pass away. Yeah, you know. So I just don't have the time.
Hey, wait, what?
Andy had to step out to walk intern Baxter, and he missed the part about Andy dying.
Yeah, we had your funeral. It was really great. Yeah.
Oh my god! Did a lot of people come?
Yeah. It was a celebration of life. There was fondant everywhere.
I want to call it ageism. Why is it that the oldest one has to go first?
Well, I asked Paul. I was like, "Are you like? Do you fear getting older?" Because we were talking about kind of like growing up, and I asked him if he had ever lied about his age, and he said that he did like 5 years younger. And I was like, oh, like, do you ever fear getting older? And that's how that kind of sprang up.
What were you going to say, Nick? You were going to say something. Like you were...
I actually like getting older. I was going to say that, you know, going out to the bars in my 20s, I usually never... I feel like, unfortunately, sometimes the older folks in bars and in settings who are actually more comfortable and just like, they're just doing their thing and they're there. But they're kind of nobody approaches them. Nobody really talks to the folks as much as...
But you also didn't, like... I feel like you didn't go out in your 20s a lot.
I did, but what I'm getting at is now, if I'm out, or if I'm by myself or whatever, I actually enjoy conversations with folks that are older than me because they just have great stories and great experiences that I'm like, I love hearing that.
And that brings up a really cool... aspect because like I think people are ageist when they're like, especially in a gay bar, they're very ageist
100%.
because like somebody walks up to you, if they look like they're older, you're gonna be like, I don't think so, bro, like I'm gonna need you to back up. But if they're like younger and hot, you're like, oh, hey, what's going on?
But what if that older person is just wanting to strike up a conversation and say hi?
Like they weren't looking for your dick. They were just like...
Yeah, and exactly. I feel like now, especially if I'm out at a bar, that's not what my intention is not that. So it's usually just to strike up a conversation and you learn. And those are like, I've had really great experiences in the last couple of years doing that. Just like folks that, before you were like, why are you talking to me? It's now like, oh, this is awesome. I'm so glad that we can connect and discuss, and it's awesome.
So one of the things I'm confronting right now is this kind of concept of becoming invisible. Because I think as you get older, you become more and more invisible.
Who said that?
Oh my God! I was walking the proverbial dog.
He's been here the whole time.
But wait, Andy, when did you get here?
But the other thing is being less competent at things you were good at in your 30s and 40s and 50s.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Yeah.
Things that I took for granted, like singing. It's more work now.
Yeah.
And I see people 10, 15 years older than me that can't hit the notes anymore, like Dolly and Cher.
Oh! Well, they lower the key, so they're fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Your backup singers will do that for you.
Diane,
but
what is it, Diane?
That kind of thing where, like, all of a sudden you're not the force to be reckoned with in the world anymore. And you're just in your place and coasting. And that's okay. I mean, it's really okay, but it's just very noticeable difference.
Well, and then your ego takes over a little bit, and you're like, no, I can still do this. But it's hard to say I can't anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's like a really hard thing to do. It's like, because I noticed like there's time, like, I was gonna do the alcohol convention, but I'm like, you know what? I'm just getting too old. I can't do that kind of work anymore.
Because it's all manual on your feet all day, right?
It's manual labor on your feet. Like, there's still ones that I can do where there's manual labor involved, but it's not as much. So it's like, I can still do this. But like, it is
talking about 20,000 steps.
Right.
Listen, no amount of orthopedic shoes can help that.
Yeah.
No.
Get some Hokas. Hokas?
No, ma'am.
But you know what? Like, when I first had kids, and my wife at the time, her parents they really embraced the idea of becoming grandparents. And little did I know back then, like, they were only about 55. But they suddenly got very old very fast.
Yeah.
Like, they embraced getting old.
Yeah.
Like, they retired and they acted retired. And they're still alive and they're still doing fine. But, like, I always didn't want that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't relate to that kind of mentality of age.
And that's another thing that scared me is, like, when one of the kids finally has a baby, I want to be a step grandparent. And I'm like,
you're going to be a grandpa.
I know. I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. Like,
you would look good.
I want to be like Reba.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're going to look good in that Dallas Cowboys outfit.
Exactly.
You have the heart of a fighter.
But it's just like that. But now that he brings it up, I'm like, I just thought about that. I'm like, that kind of is freaky to me because, like, I'm getting close to that because they're getting to the age, the kids are getting to the age where they're having the long-term relationships and they are probably thinking about marriage and they are probably thinking about having kids and moving on, and like, oh my god, that means I'm going to be a grandpa soon. And like, what does that mean? Do I have to start watching Thomas the Train and like getting up at like...
No, it's all Coco Melon. Ugh.
It's all who?
It's called Coco Melon, and that's like the thing for kids that they watch. It's like cartoons. Okay. It's like whatever it is, and Paw Patrol. But Paw Patrol's pretty fun.
I love Paw Patrol.
Paw Patrol. Paw Patrol.
I love Paw Patrol.
Honestly, like, I will say, like, I obviously am not a grandfather, but like being an uncle, like, it's I don't want to say it's hard, but like I feel like grandparents get more brunt to the work because it's more of a responsibility. Being an uncle is more fun because you just kind of like play with the kids and you return them when you're done. You know, like now it's back to you.
Yeah,
I'm done. But yeah,
here, there's the baby back.
Paul, I'd be curious, maybe Joe too, but like, do you feel like as you get older, maybe some of the things that you showed some ageism in your 20s and 30s, and now you're kind of maybe experiencing, like, how does that feel to be like, now that you could be a grandpa, when you were younger, you're like, that guy's a grandpa.
I will say this. It's like, yes, because when I was younger, I was very much into older guys. I still am into older guys. But, like, I would have,
good
like,
reason.
being 19 or 20 out in the club, like, other 19 or 20-year-olds would come up to me and be like, hey, and I'd be like, no, sorry.
Walk away.
You can't even buy me a drink. I'm going to need you to go. Like, and that was just never something I was into. And it was like, okay. So in that aspect, yes, I showed ageism in that respect, you know, when I was younger. And now I look at it and I'm like, oh, you know, that doesn't necessarily mean that they were looking for sex. Yes, they were. Yeah, but you know, and so yeah, you know, you look back on stuff. Hindsight's 20/20 always. Mm-hmm. So,
I think for me, it's patience, because when I was in my 20s, like, I didn't really think. I mean, and the funny thing is, it's like I always thought like 60 so old, but I'm like, it's not. Like, you're barely like. You're not even like halfway through your life at 60, you know what I mean? Like 50, like those ages aren't old, you know? And my parents are at an age now where they're in their 60s and I'm like, that's not old. And for me, it's just kind of having a little more compassion for those who are older, because I think when I was younger, I didn't connect.
Because they're frail.
Yeah. Well, like because my grandparents, like my grandparents lived until they were my dad's parents lived until they were in their 80s, right? But when I was in like my grandpa was 60 years older than me, so like again, it's not old, but like I think my big like aha moment as I've gotten older is that the older generations were the ones that paved the groundwork for us, right? Like, what is it? Like, they walked so we could run or whatever. Like, I don't know whatever the phrase is, but like, whatever the situation, if it's the older gays, if it's just older people in general, like grandparents, like folks that are around in the wars. Like, when I was younger, I didn't want to hear their stories. I didn't really care about anything. But now it's kind of like, oh, I appreciate that. Like, being in the chorus with the Gay Men's Chorus, like, there's a vast difference in ages. And like, I've kind of connected more with, I don't want to say the elderly, but like folks who are a little on the seasoned side, if you will.
The more mature.
But like, it just because like the lives that they lived, you know, and just like there's so much like beauty to that. Whereas like when I was younger, I was like, I don't want to hear about your life. Now I'm like, tell me everything.
So when I was a young person, 20-something, like there were goals and drives and purpose. And then when I turned 30, and at that time I was a parent, so I was raising kids, it was very different, right? For you as a person growing up in a gay world, when you were in your 20s, how does that differ from now being in your 30s?
I think 20s was all like the typical like go out and see and be seen sort of thing, and like party and like have fun. And I always joked with my friends, I'm like, I'm going to be married by the time I'm 30. And I'm like, no, that didn't happen. Like, I remember when I moved here, my friend Baron, I was like, we should make a pact that if we're not married by, or if we're not married by 30, we'll marry each other. And I was like, I was 26. Like, I was like giving myself a 4 years to like find my like happiness. But I think what changed in my 30s is more confidence in myself and not like really giving a shit about what people care. Like, because I think my 20s, it was a lot of like, oh, I have to be a certain way, especially in the gay community, because it's like, oh, I didn't fit into like, I wasn't like muscly enough. I wasn't like skinny enough to be a twink. I was just kind of like in the middle, but like, I also like didn't like partying, but then I did sometimes, and like wasn't, you know what I mean? So like finding where that kind of all meshed together. Yeah. And then the older I got, like late 20s, early 30s, I was just like, it's exhausting to try and do all that. I'm just going to like do my thing.
So I kind of look at the 20s as defining. Right?
Yeah.
You're defining who you are and finding your place in the world. And then my 30s were like living.
Yeah.
And even 40s were kind of living, but by the end of the 40s, it became redefining.
Yeah.
You know, and for me, that's like when I came out. That's when I changed my life dramatically. But I mean,
and he pointed at me when he said that
because he knew you. He has been changed for good.
He meant that because you're dramatic.
I became invisible.
Yeah. Who said that? Well, so Andy, I want to know, like, have you experienced any ageism?
All the time.
Really?
Yeah.
So like, what are some examples that you've had?
So I mean, like that concept of invisibility is really strong. Like, you can walk into a room and no one even notices that you're there.
Really?
I'll give you a perfect example, and as a gay men's chorus example.
Okay.
When I first joined the gay men's chorus, I was singing one of the classical concerts with the chamber. I wasn't singing with the main group.
Okay.
And it was great. It was really a fun experience. But I would go to rehearsal, and the people who sat around you would be nice and social, but there was no outreach or effort to make you welcome, right? And that's okay. I've sung with lots of choruses. That's not. I know it takes time to kind of warm into a group. One of our neighbors had a young German kid who was like 22, who was here on like an exchange, and he was also a classically trained singer. He wanted to sing this concert, so he like 3 rehearsals in, he started coming with me to rehearsal. It was like honey and flies.
Oh, really?
I had so many people coming up to him to welcome him, to talk to him on the break. And he was a cute-looking, nice kid, nice guy. And he ended up really being a really nice guy. But we still are connected, like on social media. But it was the first time probably in my life where I felt like, oh, I don't matter in this context.
How long ago was that? How old were you when that
happened?
That was like
10 years ago.
10 or 10
so
years
you
ago.
but you were young. What, 50?
That's 50, yeah.
Jesus.
But I mean, but you know, like, there are definitely people in the chorus who could not care less who you are, unless you're a cute little twink. And I think you see the other side of that, where people are giving you attention that you don't want to give them to be giving you attention, but it's like that's what they're about, you know. They're not in the bar looking for a conversation. They're looking for
they're on the hunt.
I feel like invisibility is a good kind of descriptor. Like, do you feel like going to like Starbucks that you get treated differently?
No.
Okay.
No. I don't find that in
I don't want to say real life, but like non-gay community
things. But I do think you kind of and I do feel it sometimes, like even in the group I sing with now, like there are definitely times when I feel invisible.
Really?
Yeah.
But I feel like you're on the younger side of that group.
I mean, I feel young.
Yeah. I would say demographically.
I don't feel my age. That's for
yeah.
sure. Although I'm starting to feel my age.
Oh no! How?
Paul keeps you young.
When Nick talks about worrying about his legs hurting on the plane, I was like, "Oh, girl, I can relate to that." That's me walking. We were walking to December Nights the other day.
Well,
I wanted to walk both ways.
It's far. Like it is a far walk. So like you're not out of line for that. Like when whatever that bridge is, it's the never-ending bridge getting into the park.
And we did fine. And we walked. We Ubered to the bridge and walked in, and then walked all the way home, kind of up Park, which was fine, but by the end of that, I was tired.
But you could tell he was like, by halfway through the walk, you could just tell he was like,
dear God,
fuck this shit.
I mean, I feel that way too. Like, whenever, like, I mean, going to Disneyland or something, like a theme park, like when we went to Six Flags, I was like, God, my feet hurt. And I wore like comfortable, like, shoes.
Sensible shoes.
Yeah. Just a sensible heel.
Sensible heel.
I had on what's it called? Sandals.
I have a quick fire question for you all. So speaking of ageism, what are your thoughts about politics and ageism?
Oh,
and just do you think that the folks that are headliners for the presidential election, are they too old to be in office? And is that an ageist thing, or is that just like get the hell out of?
I look at it like, okay, like instead of having a number for when people can start being eligible to be elected, there need to be a number where like they have to not be allowed. Like
other countries have a cap.
Yeah, exactly.
Like other democracies have caps.
I'm sorry, like 65, 70-year-olds should not be deciding what I can and cannot do.
Well, it's also, and there's a disconnect within the populace. Like, ooh, that sounded really smart. But I mean, I think it's a double-edged sword, because you have folks that have been in politics and they are very connected and can have sway and like know all the policies, but like there's got to be like a way to be able to bring in new people and have like transition planning to like leave. So I would say within reason.
I just don't know if like an 80-something-year-old should be running the country.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that our front runners are 81 and 77.
Yeah, for either party. I think that's a real challenge.
I feel like the cap should be 65.
Yeah.
And like you can be that age or older if you're elected and during your presidency.
You start it. Yeah.
Like you can even run a second time if you're over 65, but the first time you run, you cannot be older than 65.
Yeah.
Like I don't think that makes much sense, because running the country, and historically you have seen people age so fast.
Oh my God, yeah. Have you seen the pictures before and after?
Right.
Like Obama before and after, and you're like, oh my God.
You're like, it does age you, because you've got to make these decisions on a daily basis on world matters.
Yeah.
And it's like, so somebody who's 80-something who can barely, make one sentence coherently, or somebody who is so diehard in what they believe in that there's no room for any kind of discussion is not okay.
Yeah, we're at an interesting time. So.
I also think that generational kind of divide is becoming more and more apparent. Like, a younger generation do not have issues about abortion, do not have issues about, or let's say a woman's choice.
Yeah.
Or about LGBT or even trans. I mean, so many more people who are in the 25 and younger grew up with a more accepting world.
Yeah.
Even in places where it's not traditionally that accepted.
Yeah.
It's just much more exposure and representation in everything. But when you let your leaders be 60 plus years old that are still holding on to the way things were in the 50s, this nostalgic view of America is just wrong.
It's not accurate. I agree.
Right. And it's never going to happen again.
Yeah.
So stop trying to make it happen.
Stop trying to make fetch happen.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Stop trying to make America happen.
All right, everyone. Well, have a great week. Thank you.
Special thanks to Andrew Smith and Nick Stone for producing the show. If you like us, please follow us at tugayspod on Instagram and visit us online at tugayspod.com. You can find us anywhere you can stream podcasts. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and let us know topics you'd like to hear. And always remember, stay safe, stay classy, stay sassy, and always stay a little bit trashy. See you next week.